Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at how to, build that fulfilling life after getting married, especially balancing a career and home.
Right.
We're digging into this really warm, supportive video script aimed at newly married women navigating exactly this.
Yeah.
Our mission really is to pull out some actionable insights for you, things you can actually use to thrive.
What's fascinating here, I think, is how relatable and practical the wisdom is. It gets into the common challenges of this huge life change.
Which often get overlooked, right? In the day-to-day.
Totally. So we're looking beyond just general tips, trying to understand the deeper mechanisms that make these strategies really work for building resilience and connection.
Okay, so let's unpack this roadmap. Where does it suggest we start?
It starts right at the beginning of the day, the foundation.
Yeah, the script really emphasizes starting your day with intention. It talks about carving out those first 30 minutes as like golden hours for self-care, maybe meditation, journaling, a quick workout, that kind of thing. It felt like more than just grabbing me time.
Exactly. That saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. It really resonates here, but maybe on a deeper level.
How so?
Well, it's not just about relaxing for a moment. It's more like proactive psychological resilience. You're using those golden hours to preload your mental and emotional battery.
Okay, preloading. I like that.
Yeah. So you can respond thoughtfully during the day instead of just reacting because you're already drained. It's strategic self-preservation, really, not just a nice to have.
Makes sense. So once you've kind of anchored your own day, the source then shifts focus
Right.
to the partnership.
Right. Communication is key.
Yeah, it highlights that open communication is absolutely foundational. It suggests dividing up responsibilities, meals, chores, shopping, but not just randomly.
No, it's more thoughtful.
Exactly. Based on things like who actually has the time, the energy, or even just the interest for certain tasks.
And this really goes beyond just, splitting the chores down the middle. It reinforces that marriage is teamwork.
Not a solo act.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
When you approach managing the household as a shared thing, it doesn't just get stuff done.
Yeah.
It also shares the mental and emotional load.
Ah, the mental load. That's huge.
It is. And sharing it strengthens the bond, helps prevent resentment, and builds that mutual support.
Okay, so teamwork at home. Then there's the work aspect. The advice gets into strategic organization here.
Using tools.
Yeah, it mentions digital planners, Notion, Google Calendar, Todoist, things like that. But what really hit me, and I think a lot of us struggle with this.
Boundaries.
Yes, setting clear boundaries, like actually logging off on time. And crucially, not trying to mix home chores with your work hours.
And it's worth asking why those boundaries are so critical, especially when you might feel that pressure to do it all. The logic is pretty clear. It allows you to actually focus during work hours. And then, maybe even more importantly, it allows for a healthier psychological switch off when you transition to home life.
A cleaner break.
Exactly. It actively prevents burnout and creates that mental space for your personal life instead of work just bleeding into everything.
That leads perfectly into something else the source mentions, which feels so relatable. It's about not chasing perfection.
Oh, definitely.
It gives examples like, the laundry doesn't get folded some days, or dinner might just be something super quick, like instant noodles. It actually mentions Maggie.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it says point blank, that's okay.
And the deep insight there is focusing on progress, not perfection. It's about strategic self-compassion, you could say.
Strategic self-compassion.
It's not about lowering your standards across the board. It's about recognizing the reality of a full life and just giving yourself some grace. Embracing those imperfect moments actually builds resilience.
Instead of letting impossible ideals just lead to frustration. And speaking of connection, not just grace for yourself, the source also talks about making intentional time to connect with your spouse.
Yes, nurturing the relationship itself.
Even if it's just a 10-minute chat after work or, planning a proper weekend date night, the focus is on actively doing it.
And that's not just like a nice add-on. It directly strengthens your emotional foundation.
Yeah.
It builds up what psychologists sometimes call relational reserves.
Relational reserves.
Yeah, it means that when stress inevitably comes along and that core connection, that mutual understanding is strong enough to handle it. Busy schedules don't end up eroding the bond you're trying to build.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so the final piece seems to be about wrapping up the day.
With reflection, yeah.
The advice is to take a quiet moment, notice what went well, maybe what could be improved tomorrow.
And this circles back to the idea of grace. It underscores how important it is to consistently give yourself that grace.
Acknowledging you're learning.
Exactly. You're learning, you're growing, you're balancing so much, and hopefully doing it with love. And it's vital to remember you're not alone in this.
Right.
Every strong woman has kind of walked this path, learning, sometimes unlearning, and finding her own rhythm.
Which brings up a question, really. How does consistently giving yourself that grace, like the source suggests, become maybe the most powerful strategy for finding your unique rhythm in this whole balancing act?
So what does this all mean for you listening? It means finding your balance, your rhythm, isn't some fixed destination you arrive at. It's a continuous journey. Learning, adapting.
An ongoing process.
You've got this.